My God, my God, my God. I don't know how many times I can say that before I get to the point where I have praised this show as much as I have in the last several years since it started. I just finished watching the season finale to The Boys Season 3 on Amazon Prime Video. What a way to end off another fantastic and great season of television for this show. This is going to be my review of the full season, of which I will not go into spoilers. I'm not really going to go in depth on a lot of things because that would be a pretty long video. But that is neither here nor there. There's a lot to talk about, so let's just talk about this season. So season 3 follows the boys as they are still continuing on the path of rounding up Soups and trying to get to Homelander and kill him for good. And we also get a lot of storylines that follow the Soups themselves and their adventures. Every single character from previous seasons makes a return along with some brand new characters of which offer up very interesting twists and turns, as well as an interesting look on the world of what superheroes are like. One of those superheroes that makes a new arrival in the show of a particular note for being basically the big bad of the show is Soldier Boy, which is played by the actor known as Jensen Ackles. I'm not really familiar with this actor at all. I've never seen him in anything else, but for the type of character that he plays, he is so unbelievably well done here, to the point where there were times where I actually loved his character, and then there were times where I absolutely needed to despise the hell out of his character for just how much of a piece of garbage that he actually is. The character, in a sense, is meant to feel like the Captain America of this universe, and very much has a lot of tones and similarities to the Captain America of the MCU in particular. He's very much the big bad, again, as I said, of the season, along with Homelander, which, if you put those two in a room together as friends, then they are pretty much very unstoppable. You would not be able to defeat them. Speaking of Homelander, I just want to talk about this guy for a second because I had already done a review of The Boys Season 2 when it came out all those years ago, and still to this day, I will stick by what I had said originally, that Anthony Starr is simply playing one of the best characters that has ever graced television or any comic book piece of media. On top of that, his performance here is by far the best out of any of the 3 seasons, and I will say it now, he better get an Emmy nomination for this performance because it is so good. This character has seriously just become truly evil and even worse than what he was in previous seasons before. Kind of switching over to the boys side of things now, everybody here is great and just absolutely terrific returning as these characters. Carl Urban as Butcher is just amazing as usual. Jack Quaid as Huey is great. Laz Alonso as Mother's Milk also gives a standout performance here in this season. Tomer Capon, if I'm pronouncing that right, as Frenchie is also very good. And then to end it off, I want to give a round of applause for Karen Fukuhara as Kimiko, who at this point, I'll just say it now because I don't feel afraid to say it, but Fukuhara has now become my biggest celebrity crush. She is just unbelievably good here for the type of character that she is playing, especially when she is a character that can't speak, and a lot of her acting and emotions all come from the sign language and from her face. I can't give enough praise to her for this show, and she's just really cute. I mean, I'll just say it again. She's just really cute. She's absolutely amazing here in this show. Rounding it back around to the superhero side of things, this is where I very much feel some things don't all go in line with the characters and development, but there were some standouts, and firstly, I want to give a big shout out to Black Noir. For the longest time, I've always said that this character needs to be put on screen a lot more because he gives off a really cool style of combat, especially with the sense that he's a guy that just simply doesn't speak, kind of like Kimiko, and he's very powerful. He actually gets a really good character arc in the season, and without giving anything away, there is a scene in the finale of the show which broke me down so hard to the point where I just had my mouth wide the hell open for minutes. If you've seen the finale, you know exactly what I am talking about. Jesse Usher as A-Train is definitely one of the more weaker storylines in the show, even if there were times where he actually does get some levity to his character, especially for the guy who, in a way, started the entire thing in Season 1 with the boys. Most people don't even tend to remember, but he is the reason why the entirety of all 3 seasons' stories are even in place, since he is the one who killed Huey's original girlfriend. The character of Maeve is also another one who I feel didn't get a whole lot to do this season, and I kind of wish we saw more of her, but her character does get an arc, so I do appreciate that they did that for her. Speaking of characters that don't really get much to do other than to just stand around in the background and do whatever they say is the Deep, which is played by Chase Crawford. I think he is really good as this character. However, I think his character is by far the weakest out of any one character in the entire season. Again, kind of like a Maeve situation, he doesn't get a whole lot to do, and when he does have something to do, it is at the expense of somebody else telling him to do it. I just didn't really feel like that whole storyline worked out as much as it should have, and at the same time, he does some things in this season that are just, in some cases, unwatchable for some people. And weirdly enough, I'm not even sure why I am ending off with Erin Moriarty for the superheroes, but her as Starlight is still very good in the show, and in this season in particular, as she's now more acquainted with the boys and helping them out. She definitely gets a lot to do in the season, along with building up a more development between her and Hughie now that they are fully together. The last actors I want to mention before we move on are the actors who play the characters of Ashley and Victoria. I think while their performances here, especially Ashley, are very good, I do however think their characters get struck down a little bit based on the situation that they are in, especially Victoria, who I think in the finale specifically set something up that I'm not exactly all too sure how they are going to do, especially for the type of character that she is. I do like their characters, however, I wish there was more of a reason for them to be in the season for like a bigger purpose. The final guy I want to talk about, because it doesn't go without saying, but he is good in every single thing he is in, is Giancarlo Esposito as Stan Edgar. I think this character is so unbelievably good. One of the more standouts that other people talk about a lot. In some cases, he very much is the guy who sets so many things in place and in motion for so many things to happen this season. And I am really looking forward to see if he does end up returning for season 4, which I have a feeling he just might. And I know I've talked a lot about the characters and the actors for the show, but I very much do think that that is the crux of what makes the show so good. The characters and the way they are written, along with how the story is written, all here is so very well done, and is the reason why the show has stood the test of time for the 3 seasons that it has. I certainly hope it continues in season 4, because this is one of the better shows that we have had this century, and yet it just feels like more people should be watching it and talking about it. And I feel like a lot of the reason that it's like that is because of the way that the show intertwines the political natures of real life into the story of the show. This show does not pull any punches, and it very much makes fun of both sides, one side more than the other. And I feel like that's one of the reasons why some people don't tend to gravitate towards it. And in some cases, I would push back against that, because it does really funny things with that, and it would make everybody laugh no matter who you are. I do also think a lot of the reason people don't gravitate towards it is because of the brutality of it all and the raunchiness that is the humor. The show is definitely not for the faint of heart, and it's obviously for a much older audience, which is also why you don't see a lot of younger people talking about it. I feel like the main audience that the show is for like college level age group kids and all the way up from there. I'm sure there's some high schoolers out there who are watching it, but even then I would feel like the show would be, I feel like it wouldn't even be for a few high schoolers out there. But even then, I just feel like the show just does so much well, and continuing on that point with the things that it does so well and with the season is that the action, as always, is fantastic. The violence is brutal, it's gory, and my god, man, there are many things that are shown in this season that I thought I'd never see in my entire life. The visual effects and CGI are also very good, along with the practical stuff that they do for the violence. For 8 episodes that are all an hour long, I think that is very much the way that shows should be doing it, where they make these really long episodes where they can flush out stories and characters, and so that's another thing that it excels so much on. Overall though, without having gone into spoilers, there's not really much more I can talk about again for this season. In a way, it just might be the best season so far, in my personal opinion. I know a lot of people will point to that first season as being the better one just because they were so new to it, but I really do think that this season excels so much more on all levels. Regardless of some of the critiques that I had for some of the characters and where their stories go, I think overall there is not much that I can complain about with regards to the season, and I think it is a damn near close to a masterpiece of a season of television. So that's going to do it for my review. If anybody here has finished all the season 3 episodes for The Boys, drop a comment down below and let me know what you thought of this new season. Of course, if you haven't finished it and you want to hear my review, go watch it and come back. And if you could, please drop a like on the video and subscribe to the channel if you are new. I would greatly appreciate it. I hope you all have a great weekend, and I will see you in the next review.